Have you ever locked eyes with someone and, in that moment, felt like time paused, as if a silent memory stirred from a place you couldn't name? Something ancient, something eternal. There was no logical reason for it, no backstory to explain the gravity of that encounter, and yet something inside you whispered, "I know you." That sensation isn't just romantic fantasy. It's the invisible thread that connects two souls long before they ever meet. These moments are not born out of coincidence. They're woven through the fabric of your life like sacred geometry, appearing at the crossroads of destiny and readiness. When you feel an inexplicable closeness to someone you barely know, you're experiencing something deeper than chemistry. It's resonance. It's the echo of your soul recognizing a familiar vibration in another. In the teachings of Carl Jung, these phenomena are not dismissed as illusions. He called them synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that occur with no apparent causal connection, yet carry deep emotional or spiritual significance. When souls are truly aligned, these synchronicities intensify. The meeting itself is not just an event. It's a signal, a reflection of internal energies harmonizing with the outer world. And this is where it begins. The sensation that someone was placed in your path not by chance, but by design. Not to complete you, but to awaken a part of you. Not to give you something new, but to return you to something ancient. A recognition coded into your spirit before time etched its name into your memory. The invisible thread isn't something you can see or touch, but you feel it in your body, in the calm that settles in their presence, in the way your thoughts soften, in the strange peace that rises like a tide in your chest. This thread doesn't bind in chains, it calls, it reminds, it reverberates. You sense that this person isn't just passing through. There's a reason they crossed your path, yet that reason may not be revealed immediately. And that's part of the mystery. The universe doesn't always explain itself when it speaks through soul connections. Sometimes it whispers in moments, in silence, in the things you can't logically justify but deeply feel. There's an ancient proverb that says, "An invisible red thread connects those who are destined to meet." Regardless of time, place, or circumstance, the thread may stretch or tangle, but it will never break. This belief, shared across Eastern philosophies, mirrors what Jung proposed from the Western world, that certain people are not only meant to enter your life, they are summoned into it by the energy you carry within. It's not about finding them, it's about remembering. And when that thread is touched, even for a second, your soul knows. Something sacred has just been set in motion. Long before we understand love, before we can name what we feel, something deeper already stirs beneath the surface of our lives. Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant minds to ever explore the depths of the human psyche, offered a profound insight. Our most powerful relationships are not accidents. They are the manifestation of unseen forces moving within us. To Jung, the unconscious is not a passive container of memories. It is an active field of energy, alive with meaning, constantly shaping our reality. And within this unconscious realm lives the blueprint of our deepest connections. When we meet someone who leaves a lasting mark on our soul, it is not by chance. It is the psyche responding to an inner calling. Jung called this synchronicity, the mysterious alignment of inner states with external events. It is through these synchronistic encounters that we sense the presence of what could be called a soul contract. Not a literal document, but a psychological agreement made between two psyches, drawing them together with magnetic precision. You feel it when a stranger feels familiar, when someone enters your life and everything begins to shift. It is not logic that explains it. It is resonance. Jung taught that within each of us exist powerful archetypes, ancient, universal patterns of the soul. When two people come together and feel an instant connection, it's often because their archetypes are dancing in harmony beneath the surface. The attraction is not superficial, it is symbolic. It speaks the language of dreams, myths, and forgotten truths. But what makes these bonds timeless is not their duration, it's their impact. Some of the most transformative relationships in your life might last only weeks or months, yet echo within you for decades. That's because the unconscious doesn't measure time the way the ego does. What matters is what the relationship awakens in you. Jung believed that people are drawn into our lives to mirror what we need to face, to illuminate what lies hidden. There is no randomness in these encounters. They are invitations to evolve, sacred opportunities disguised as coincidences. You don't attract someone because of fate's whim. You attract them because your inner world is ready to be reflected, challenged, or healed. And sometimes, even if the connection is profound, it must be brief. Not every bond is meant to stay. Some come to serve a specific psychological purpose. Once fulfilled, the psyche lets go, not because the connection wasn't real, but because it completed its task. Jung showed us that these relationships are not interruptions in life's flow. They are the flow. They are the evidence that our inner world is constantly shaping the outer one. When two souls are truly aligned, their meeting is inevitable. And when they part, it is only because something within has shifted. A new chapter in the psyche has begun. When two souls connect in a way that feels beyond time, as if they've touched before this life even began, the last thing you expect is distance. And yet, it happens. One day, that powerful presence begins to fade. Not through betrayal or conflict, but through silence. A pause. A shift. And you're left asking yourself the same question over and over. If this connection was real, why did they go? The answer isn't simple, and it's not immediate. What most people don't realize is that true soul connections follow a different rhythm. They're not built to satisfy the ego's need for permanence. They're designed to serve something deeper, evolution. It may look like they walked away, but something else is happening beneath the surface. Some bonds require distance in order to grow. There are moments in the journey when closeness no longer serves expansion. The souls, still connected, begin to move apart. Not to disconnect, but to recalibrate. This space between is not emptiness. It's alignment in progress. It's a sacred silence where both are being prepared, separately, for what can only happen together when the time is right. That's what no one tells you. The connection doesn't end when the contact fades. What you felt was not a coincidence, and it doesn't disappear just because they're no longer in the room. If the connection is real, it lives beneath the distance, moving through time like a thread being quietly pulled toward reunion. But here's the part most overlook. One cannot return to what isn't ready to receive. Sometimes, the separation is the only way for each soul to grow into what the connection truly requires. Without that pause, the bond would stay small, confined. It would reflect only where you were, not where you're meant to go. The pull between truly connected souls never fades. It only waits. It adjusts. It responds to what each soul is becoming. And in the moments when you least expect it, something shifts. The silence begins to dissolve. A message appears, a glance across a room. A familiar name resurfaces. And just like that, they return. Not always as they were, not always in the same shape or role, but when the time is right, what is meant finds its way back. Because the thread didn't break. It stretched, it adapted, it created space for the connection to return in a form that can finally hold its full truth. And perhaps that's what you've been sensing all along, that they were never gone. Only preparing. Some threads don't unravel, they simply loosen, stretch, and hold their breath. When silence lingers long enough for transformation to take place, those threads begin to tighten again. What once felt like loss slowly reveals itself as preparation. And when the time is right, what you thought had drifted away starts making its way back. Not because you asked, but because something within you changed. There is no announcement when truly aligned souls return. No flashing sign, no dramatic pause in the universe. You feel it before you see it. A strange, quiet calm, an awareness of something approaching, even if you don't know what form it will take. And then suddenly, there it is. A name, a message, a presence. Not by force, but by rhythm. Reconnection is not a reward for patience. It's not the outcome of longing. It's the result of alignment. When your internal frequency shifts, when the noise inside you settles, it creates space. And in that space, what was always connected finds the path again. The return isn't the result of waiting. It's the consequence of becoming. You may not recognize them immediately. Time changes people. Growth rewrites their posture, their voice, the way they enter a room. But underneath it all, something is unchanged. The presence is familiar in a way that language can't explain. The air between you carries a weight you both remember, even if neither of you speaks it aloud. It's not uncommon for the return to feel surreal. You wonder if you imagined it all. The mind, cautious and analytical, tries to explain it. But something deeper overrides that logic. It's the feeling in your chest, the way the moment softens your edges. You don't need to ask if it's real. Your body already knows. When two people have been shaped by their time apart, the reunion becomes something neither could have predicted. It's not a repeat of the past, it's a convergence of everything they've become. And because of that, it carries a quiet power. The kind that doesn't need to be declared. It simply exists. There are no rules for how this return unfolds. It might begin with small talk or with silence. It might happen across a table or across years. But one thing is certain. When it arrives, you'll know. Not through certainty of mind, but through peace in your core. You'll feel the gap close, not in words, but in presence. This is why truly aligned souls always find their way back. Because what connected them was never external. It wasn't timing or circumstance or chance. It was resonance. And resonance, once felt, doesn't vanish. It waits. It adjusts. And when both are ready, it returns. When two souls cross paths after long silence, there's often a quiet familiarity between them, not shaped by memory, but by something deeper. And sometimes before the reunion, before the first word is spoken, that familiarity already exists. It's not born from shared history. It's born from recognition beyond reason. This kind of recognition doesn't wait for introductions or logic. It happens in the body, in the subtle shift of energy, when someone walks into your life and something ancient within you takes notice. It doesn't ask for confirmation. It doesn't need proof. The awareness is immediate. You feel it in your stillness. Magnetic connections are difficult to explain because they don't operate like ordinary attraction. They're not based on surface traits or conversation. They're not filtered through preference. You meet them, and something locks into place inside of you, not because you understand them, but because something about their presence unlocks you. There's a strange tension that comes with this, a tension between the undeniable pull and the absence of clarity. The moment feels vivid, but you don't know what to do with it. You may ignore it. You may try to name it. But the more you try to define it, the more it slips out of reach. That's because it was never meant to be labeled, only felt. You notice them in small ways, in how the room feels different, in how your breathing shifts when they're near, in the sudden feeling that something has been remembered without knowing what it was. That's the essence of recognition beyond reason. It doesn't come from thought, it comes from resonance. These connections don't ask for immediate action. They don't require promises or declarations. Their presence alone stirs something inside you that you didn't know was asleep. And whether the moment lasts 5 minutes or 5 years, it leaves something behind. A sense that you brushed against something rare, something you didn't know you were missing. Often these moments happen during times of personal transition, when something inside you is shifting and you're more open than usual. That's when these connections land. They don't interrupt. They arrive with perfect timing, even if that timing doesn't make sense to your current life. It's easy to think you imagined it, that maybe you projected too much onto a passing moment. But you didn't. You felt it, and that feeling doesn't lie. The truth about magnetic connections is that they don't need to be proven. They don't need to be pursued. They're reminders, flashes of alignment that show you what it feels like to be fully present. Whether they stay or go, the energy they awaken in you never really leaves. When something feels powerful, the instinct is to hold on to it, especially if it awakens you, opens you, changes the way you see yourself. But one of the most common mistakes we make with deep connections is believing they must be preserved at all costs. That belief leads to a quiet desperation, the need to chase what once moved us, as if the connection's value depends on its permanence. It starts subtly, a message unanswered, a shift in tone, the absence of presence. And suddenly, you find yourself trying to recreate what once flowed freely. You try to say the right things, appear in the right moments, mold yourself into someone they might still choose. But the more you reach, the more distant they feel. What was once effortless begins to feel like a performance. The trap is this: chasing someone who once moved you is often an attempt to escape the discomfort of your own transformation. When a connection touches a part of you that isn't fully formed, it leaves you wanting more, not because you need them, but because they reminded you of what you have yet to become. That hunger gets mistaken for love, and that's where the confusion begins. The power of becoming begins where the chase ends, not when the other person returns, but when you stop needing them to. When the attention you were directing outward is redirected inward, you begin to see that the depth you admired in them is a reflection of something already stirring within you. They weren't the source, they were the mirror. There is nothing weak about wanting someone, but there is great strength in not needing them to define your worth. The more you chase, the more you confirm an inner story that says you are incomplete without them. But the truth is, they entered your life to reveal a path, not to walk it for you. And sometimes, walking alone is what makes you ready for everything that connection awakened. Becoming is not glamorous. It's not made of glowing moments and sudden peace. It's made of space, of silence, of confronting the parts of you that felt invisible before they arrived. You don't become through attachment. You become through integration. You take what they stirred and you make it your own. Eventually, something shifts. The urgency fades. The noise quiets. You're no longer trying to reclaim something. You're living as someone who's been changed by it, grounded, clear, whole. And when you reach that place, the energy that once drove the chase is gone. In its place, there's gravity, calm, steady, magnetic. This is the shift that no one teaches, that the power of becoming will always take you further than the chase ever could. Not because you forgot them, but because you finally remembered yourself. There are few moments in life that feel both brand new and impossibly familiar. When two souls align again, it doesn't feel like something beginning. It feels like something returning, not to repeat what was, but to continue what was paused. There's no rush, no dramatic realization, just a sense that this moment was waiting all along beneath the surface of everything. It happens quietly. You notice it not in their words, but in your own stillness. You're not the same person who once reached for them out of longing, and they're not who they were when they left. Something has changed. The frequency is different now. You're not meeting as fragments hoping to be made whole. You're meeting as whole beings who now understand what it means to connect without losing yourself. When souls align again, time softens. You stop measuring how long it took or what was lost along the way. The timelines dissolve, and what remains is presence. You see them as they are, not as who they used to be. And you're seen in return, not as someone waiting, but as someone who has become. There's a temptation to ask what comes next, to plan, to label, to secure the future. But that urge fades quickly, because the real magic of this alignment isn't in what it might become. It's in the purity of what it already is. There's no need to force the connection into a shape. It will shape itself moment by moment, breath by breath. Not every reunion leads to forever, but when two souls return to each other after doing the inner work, there's something undeniably sacred about it. Even if the roles are different, even if the connection takes a new form, what matters is the energy has met again, with clarity, with peace, without distortion. And if you're lucky enough to witness that kind of return, you'll know it by the way your body doesn't brace, your heart doesn't rush. Instead, you'll feel a grounded calm, not the thrill of pursuit, but the arrival of something steady, something that no longer needs to be held tightly in fear, because it simply fits. What comes next isn't a story to be predicted. It's a path to be walked, with presence, with reverence, with trust. And maybe that's the final truth, that the point of meeting again isn't to relive the past, but to co-create something that couldn't exist before. Something shaped by growth, not need. If something in you stirred while reading this, it's not by chance. Some truths arrive when you're ready to receive them, just like certain souls. If this message found you at the right time, trust that your journey is unfolding exactly as it should. Thank you for being here, for allowing these words to meet you where you are. If this resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe and join us for more reflections like this. Thanks for watching.